Hi everyone, my name is Leah Voss and welcome to my ENTO 322 Monarch Service Project. I did this in collaboration with Audra Tihan, Jace Garrett, Jake Bryan, Nishant Narong, Rainey Bullocklock, and Yurvi Call. And here is my project.
Our community partner for this project was Texas A&M University. The university had a competition where we could submit ideas to improve the campus and therefore people's first impressions of it. So we decided to choose a location to create a new garden that would include Texas native species of plants that would draw in beneficial insects. And that's what these videos you're seeing are now. We went around and each of us and collected videos and pictures of all these locations where we thought that they would be a good place to have a garden. For the actual submission, we had to submit a video or pictures with a description of our idea of what we wanted to do. So before we set out on collecting data, we set several criteria that needed to be met by each location. So the first one was that they all needed to be on campus. Second, they couldn't be any fields used by the Corps of Cadets. And we made sure that the locations weren't already reserved for certain projects for the university. And they also, lastly, needed to be a well-trafficked area that was noticeable to the public. Not only did we want this to be a place that people could come and study and walk through and enjoy, but also a place to educate visitors and students on the soil, plants, insects, and interactions of all these things to create a balanced ecosystem. For a long-term goal, we hoped that this area would also be a place where students could come and conduct experiments with this ecosystem and be able to research the different interactions.
So we picked out several native plant species that we wanted to include in the garden that would draw the beneficial insects, and the first one is the Maximilian sunflower. This attracts the assassin bug, which is beneficial because the adult preys on invasive and harmful species in the garden. The second one is the strawberry geranium. This draws lacewings, which have predatory larvae which kill harmful insects and would be very helpful to have in the garden. The next one is the indigo bush. This has nectar that attracts bees, butterflies, and other nectar-loving insects. Having these natural pollinators would be very beneficial. The next one is the banderillia, which also attracts butterflies and bees and provides nesting materials and structures for native bees. Another one is the black-eyed Susan, which draws the syrphid fly, and this has larvae that helps control aphids and whiteflies on plants. And the last one that we did was the red Turk's cap, which also draws butterflies and bees, and they help to pollinate the flowers of these plants. And these plants are not very susceptible to predatory insects, which is perfect for the garden. So now we're just going to go through each of the locations and why we did or didn't choose it for submission. So the first one is the rec center. We did not choose this location because there's already a lot of landscaping and the location just isn't ideal for our purposes. So the next one is Hullabaloo Hall, and we did not choose this because there's not high enough pedestrian traffic and there's a lot of shade and would limit the amount of plants we can use. These next two locations are around the AGLS and PAP building, and we didn't choose these because they're really close to the leach gardens, which defeats the purpose of having the gardens spread out from each other. The next two locations are the Agriculture Engineering Research Lab and Research Park, and we didn't choose these because there's not high traffic through here, and they're supposed to be spread out and open, so that defeats the purpose of the gardens. The next one is the Planck Leadership Learning Center, and this wasn't used because it didn't meet the criteria because this is part of the Corps of Cadets land. Other than that, it would have been a really good location because it's such high traffic. The next spot is behind the ILSB building, and this was really good because it was so open and there's already a spot for benches and such, but there's not high traffic through here, so no one would know it's there. This next one is located in front of the HEAP building, and there's just not enough grass or space for anything to really be built here and be a conducive area. For these reasons, we rejected it. The next one is the band field behind Southside Parking Garage, and even though this was a really big area and would have been good for the gardens, it's been used by the band and the Corps, so we can't use it. Aggie Park is next, and even though this is a really high traffic area, a lot of tailgating is done here, and the gardens would just be destroyed. There's also a lot of concrete around it, so it just wouldn't look very good. So finally, we come to the spot that we chose. This is the section of land in front of West Campus Library and behind the Bio building, and this is just really open, and there's really not a lot around it, so that's why we chose it. The gardens aren't near it, There's not any landscaping, and a lot of people come and study in these areas because MedSci Library is also around here. So it would just be really conducive, and a lot of people that come visit will see it. And we just hope that this would be a really good place for people to study, conduct experiments, and observe and just enjoy the beauty. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thanks and gig 'em.